Well, how we doing, everyone? Welcome back. This is Neighborly Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Tim. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Been telling you guys that we've got some new equipment that's been coming to the yard, and I'm going to show you here what that is. I don't know if you can read what that box says, but we got ourselves a new firewood conveyor. I'm going to get the camera set up here, get the box opened up, show you what it is. So the conveyor that we bought is the Iron Rhino 16-foot firewood conveyor, and we got it from Chipper Sales LLC down in Georgia, and they were pretty decent to deal with. There was free shipping on it to a business, so that worked out pretty good. I already opened the box and looked at the directions and stuff, and they might as well not give you any. They don't look to be very helpful. But like I said, I'm going to get the camera set up here, and we'll get this thing unboxed. So everything looks to be crated pretty well. The kids wondered why we only had one tire. And I told them it was because it was a unicycle conveyor. What are you laughing at? Alright, buddy, so I think what we'll do is we'll just get everything out, lay it out here on the concrete, and then when we put it together, we'll put it in line with the tractor, so we'll have the tractor out of the way first. So the directions basically just show pictures, and some of the wording on the parts that what they call the parts is pretty hilarious. I'll try to point some of that out as we get to it. Looks like we got a couple fenders. You know, high speed, you know, we're not flinging mud. I hope so. Oh, there's a manual for the engine. Looks like it comes with a Briggs & Stratton manual.
Oh, look at me, I'm strong.
Yes, you are. Alright. Got a couple hoses. Yeah, buddy, listen, we're trying to do a video, so I don't need all the extra noise, okay? Thank you. Alright, hold on, let's get this. This is the jack, I think. You want to take it out of the bag? Okay. Yeah, just we'll take the plastic in and put it in the garbage bag in the garage. Now, first thing I noticed, you guys see the axle here. Look, just thumbing through the directions, they show you how to put the axle together and to put the hubs on it. So that's something they must have changed somewhere along the line. The axle comes pre-assembled with the hubs already on it, which is kind of nice. Alright, what do we got, bud? Let's get the belt out of here.
We have a lot of stuff.
That's
what we got.
There's a conveyor belt.
Iron.
Alright, let's see what we got here. Let's see what this big part is. Alright, that looks like... Hey, don't play with that. This looks like maybe the frame for the engine. Just guessing. This obviously looks like the tongue for the hitch. Now, I'll show on the camera here. I don't know how good you can see that, but not the heaviest stuff in the world. You know, some of you are going to say, you get what you pay for, Chinese junk. You can see that that's already got a little bend in it, but so the thing of it is with conveyors, is to get into a pro grade, most of them, we're talking like 10 grand. Well, you know, I know some of the other brands, you might be able to get one for around, say, 7 or 8,000. For the most part, I'm what you would call a hobbyist. I'm not selling bulk firewood. We move a lot of campfire wood. Plus, we're doing quite a bit of wood for ourselves. So, granted, I spent a good chunk of change getting my splitter. And maybe someday, I'm not saying that I won't someday get a commercial grade conveyor, but for right now, this is a step up from getting a hay elevator. And I've talked to a lot of guys, the hay elevators just don't work the way that they wish they would. And I really don't want to be monkeying with something like that all the time with the chains and everything. So I kind of like the idea that this one had a belt. I like the fact that it's hopefully going to be quiet. Ted and Jerry from Miller Stumps and Firewood, they've got one of these. That's initially where I saw that conveyor, and it's kind of what turned me on to it. So was it the right decision? We'll find out down the road, but what I'm going to try to do in this video is show you the assembly of it, because from what I've found, there's nothing on YouTube right now that is an assembly video for one of these units. So, and I do know some other guys that have bought these and wish that there was a video. So what do we got in the box? No idea?
I'll open it.
Yeah, well, my knife is here. We'll get this other bracket out. I will mention, I know there's a lot of tariffs on a lot of things, and China especially, but Chipper Sales had these units in stock long before the tariffs went into effect, so I didn't have to pay anything extra for this unit. And I will throw a link down below in the description of the video for their website for this conveyor. They've got a lot of other options too. Okay, so there is the hydraulic motor. Couple bearings. What do we got? Oh man, all kinds of bolts. Control box. Lights. Some plugs and electrical. A whole ton of hardware. There's an emergency stop. Kind of surprising. I'll bring the camera over and show this. So you would think you put some somewhat sensitive components like that in a box, might be separate along with your lights with wiring, but I guess my initial thought on that is that's not real cool with just throwing everything in the box all willy-nilly there, but whatever. I apologize for the dog yelping in the background. We're dog sitting for some friends of ours. I thought for sure it would have been a Chinese knockoff on an engine, but he's got out of the way. Thank you. According to that, it is a genuine Briggs & Stratton. So That's kind of cool. Oh, that's a little slimy. So that looks to be the hydraulic tank with the flow control. That bird's kind of heavy. Got the other pulley on it. Okay, so that's that one. Need to get this is obviously a middle piece. Looks like another middle piece.
This one.
Just right here. What else we got? Leaf springs.
Yeah, it shows them in the directions.
A couple different brackets here. Lay these up here. Ian, you want to get the fenders out? Just might need help to get that big thing lifted out. I almost bolt onto the hitch. What else we got? A couple of rods. So there we go. We got everything unboxed, unwrapped. Everything was wrapped in bubble wrap. The only signs of anything really, a couple marks in the paint there and there where stuff was rubbed through the paint. Not a big deal. I'm not really worried about it. Got everything laid out. There's a hydraulic tank, what looks like the hitch, some of the main frame, leaf springs, the engine mount, the engine. There's a hydraulic motor on a pulley, the belt, tires, hoses, some miscellaneous brackets, fenders, box of hardware. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to do this, but I'm probably just going to set the camera up, and I don't know if I'll put it in time lapse and stop at certain key points, or do a voiceover on some of that maybe. I don't know. We'll see. When I sit down to edit it, we'll see how it goes. But I guess we're also going to try to time it a little bit and just see how long this actually takes. So stick around. All right, so thumbing through the directions. The first show putting the axle together, put the hubs on, put the wheels on, all that stuff, and then bolting the leaf springs to the axle, but they don't give you a dimension. So my theory is we'd be better off putting the leaf springs in where they go, and then we'll bolt the axle on. We'll see how that works out for us. So there's 2 holes here, and there's a slotted hole down here for the leaf spring to go into. They give you 4 bolts with these nylon bushings. The bushings fit the inside of the leaf spring, like so. I'm putting the washers in between the nylon bushings and the bracket. It doesn't really tell you. I just checked. They show the bolt going from the outside. I don't think it really would matter, but I guess I'm going to do it that way. They don't tell you which way to go. It just shows in the picture. Alright, we're going to do the same thing on this side. The head of the bolt is an 18 millimeter. The head or the nut size is 19 millimeter. Come on. Second time that's happened. This side's a little tighter for some reason. Alright, so 19 millimeter on the nut, 18 millimeter on the bolt. And then we need these. There's 4 U-bolts, 2 for each side. They give you a plate with 5 holes in it and a plate with a big hole. That goes on there. Maybe that's the same size. 18 millimeter on the U-bolt. So, yep, so this tube just has to set right up on here. This is going to be a little tricky. They almost don't put the holes in them wide enough. Not sure where that's supposed to sit. It looks pretty centered. I'm not even going to bother measuring it. All right, so you've got the axle and the leaf springs bolted on the frame that is for the engine mount. Right now it is currently upside down. I think we'll put the tires on next and be able to roll it up to the main hitch or frame, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we need one of the tires in. Yep, I didn't want to do it that way. We'll get my grease gun, put a little grease on them studs. All right, we got wheels. We're rolling now. All right, we're gonna flip this over. That over, we're gonna spin it around. Because that goes to this right there. So in the directions, they already show that frame and that thing all together, like it's one piece or something. But I guess they'd show it putting it in there, but I don't know. Their pictures are so hard because you can't tell what angle they're at. Or, I mean, with the angle they're at, you can't tell what they're doing. And so it says, moving the bottom frame and insert to engine and hydraulic tank frame, then use bolts to install together. Well, guess what? There's like 6 bags of bolts, all different sizes, and they don't even tell you what size bolts to use. So we're just going to look here, and I'm going to assume, based on the size of them and the length of them, that these go through that frame. So let's do a test fit here. Appears to be the right size, appears to be the right length. We need 4 of them. Oh, and look at that. There happens to be 4 of them. Let's see, how many washers? So there's 4 more bolts. 4 bolts, 4 nuts. 4 locks, 4 locks. And it looks like we've got like 8 washers. So alright, Ian, I could use your help, I think. And on that side, we'll lift this up. We're going to slide this into here. Okay. Get the bolts and stuff out of the way of the tires. Stick those through those 2 holes. I'm gonna quick see what size these are. So the head of the bolt is 18 millimeter and the nut is also 18 millimeter. Oop, forgot the washers. Probably wouldn't have been a big deal. So then you need... Sure. Flat. No. This first, then this, then this.
Does it matter which way this
It's a
goes?
flat washer, nope, and then that's a lock washer.
It locks it.
Yep. Doesn't matter, the same size. Just get them as tight as you can and then Daddy can check them. Yep. I think this is the next one we need. I think there's 8 in there. He got them pretty tight. Kid does pretty good for almost 9 years old. Got the bolts tight. Alright, so now the next piece is that A-frame piece has to go on the end of here. So we're going to get that put on. This is the hitch. And once again, they don't tell you what bolts to use, but they're about a 1/2 inch bolt. I know they're metric, but there's 8 of these. They fit the holes, and I just don't think they're too big for that. I don't see anywhere else that these bolts would go. And any of the other ones that are that size, are like that long. So, and there's only 4 of them. So I'm pretty sure those aren't the ones. This thing's fighting me here. Get a bolt in. Probably needed a washer. Got another one here. Just gonna snug them up. I'm gonna put you guys right here. Let's get them in there like that, get them started. And I need like a block of wood that's like yay long. Put it right under here. So I don't know if I said it or not, both of those, all those bolts, nuts and bolts are 18 millimeter as well. All right, everybody, it is now the next day. We kind of were running out of daylight last night. The camera was going dead and we had to get dinner and all that anyways. So took a little bit of a break. We're back out here this morning, kind of getting a late start, but flipped the camera around here. Just a recap of what we did. We got the engine base mounted to the leaf springs and the wheels and everything on the axle. We've got the frame here going to the front with the hitch frame on it. Sorry, the lighting is tough. It's a little bit of shade and sun coming in. So we're going to get set up here and try to see how far we can get. Hopefully we're going to get this done and try it out today. All right, so just looking at this, going through the directions to figure out my next step. Apparently, I mounted this A-frame for the hitch on upside down because in all the pictures, they show this piece on the top. It just didn't seem right to me. That's why I put it that way. But let me show you. So looking ahead at where they install the coupler on the mount, they show the mount at the top side, but they also changed the type of coupler. And then looking at the pictures, the jack is on the opposite side of the way I have it. So I don't know. It didn't make sense to me to have the weight of the conveyor pulling, the conveyor is going to be putting downward pressure where this bracket could peel upwards. So That's why I did it the way I did. So I guess what I'm going to do is I am going to flip that over. Just in case I run into a problem somewhere else. And then if I find out later on that it doesn't work as good that way, I may end up flipping it back over at some point, but we'll see. All right, so now we got that flipped over. We're going to put the coupler onto here with those bolts there, and they are also 18 millimeter head on the bolt and 18 millimeter nut for the wrench size that you need. So you're going to turn it other way. Oh. You flipped it. Okay, now do it. Watch out for Ian's hat. You getting tighter?
Yes.
Did you get it finished? And then you do the next one? I'll let you do the ones on the jack. There you go. Lefty loosey, righty tighty.
What?
You turn it right to get tighter and left to go looser. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Alright, that's on there. Now we're going to mount the jack on the side plate there. You got the jack and the plates and the bolts. Those are 14 millimeter wrench and socket that you need.
Those don't reach all the way.
They're going to work though. And they're not 14 millimeter. All right. Gotta go find a wrench for that.
I have a one.
Okay, so with the jack, they give you these plates and these really long bolts. And I'm not really sure why, other than it looks like it's meant to like sandwich the whole entire frame as like a universal mount. I'm not going to use those. There's 4 other bolts that appear to fit these holes and they're the right length. So these are, you need a 16 millimeter wrench for these. So we're going to go ahead and use these, put these in there. Again, as I stated before, the directions don't tell you anything regarding the hardware. Like how many bolts you're supposed to have. They don't give you any directions on where they're supposed to go. Anything like that. So that is something the directions could be improved on. Part of the reason I'm doing this video is for others, and maybe somebody isn't as mechanically inclined to figure this out and they would rely on those directions. That was just kind of my feeling on this whole thing.
Daddy, look, we made the ground and the bone.
Turn the wrench around. There you go. You need to get you a deep socket. All right, so now the next step, it says put engine and hydraulic tank on frame and install them by bolts. That's kind of how vague I was referring to the directions being. So we will get these mounted. I guess I'm not sure which way this is supposed to go. Maybe that way.
You have it on correct.
Okay. That looks to me like what would be right.
Yep, correct.
Okay. So now we just got to find the hardware for it. I did have to fill the engine with oil. They ship it without oil, so make sure if you get one of these, you don't just go and fire it up. So I think I found this bag of hardware. There's 4 long skinny bolts that look long enough to go through the engine mount. And there are 6 short, larger bolts that look long enough and big enough to go through the tank bolts. So there's 4 of those nuts. I'm going to find a wrench and socket that fits that and this. Alright, so the bolts for the hydraulic tank and the nuts are 17 millimeter. Okay, while Ian is tightening up those bolts, I'll work on getting the ones started in the engine. And those appear to be a 13 millimeter with the bolt and the nut. Let's see here. You got them tight?
I got 2.
Just want water. Yeah. Is the head of the bolt different than the... Got the wrong size here, buddy. 16. You need 16. Get the wrench. 16. Okay, so the bolts and the nuts that hold the tank on are 16 millimeter, not 17. Well, that's ridiculous. So the nut is 16, the head of the bolt is 17. Why they do something like that? Good old metric stuff, I guess. Alright, so these are all tight. That one a little bit more. Alright, those are all tight. Now they give you slotted holes, and I don't really know why. All right, so the next step here is installing the two support legs. And that's using these 4 bolts. They're threaded all the way. The only thing that we have left that's long enough. So these nuts and bolts are 18 millimeter. It would have been nice if they would have kept a lot of the bolt sizes the same. And you got to be careful not to tighten these down too much because this metal isn't very heavy. And you can draw the sides of that tubing right in. Yeah, you don't want to go too tight. So the next thing is this support rod and these two what I call like hitch pins. It goes through this. The next thing we have is these 4 plates. We need to mount them using these 8 bolts. And these go inside these little stake pockets or side pockets here. They hold the fenders on. In hindsight, I would have put these on first before the tires. It would have made things a lot easier. Even would help to put them on before the leaf springs. Just because you had the thing upside down. What size? 13. I don't know if I can't even get a ratchet in there. Yeah, definitely put these on before you do all this other stuff because you can't even get a wrench in there. Yeah, this is a pain. Alright guys, we went and got our easy up tent, put that up out here so we're not working in the super hot blazing sun. So I could have pulled the conveyor in the garage, but too much stuff to move at the moment and just kind of wanted to keep going on this. So okay, so the next step here is to put the fenders on. We're really going to be traveling in class here. I'm just guessing by what fits the hole and what looks like the right length. So the fenders don't need nuts on the inside. They have a nut that's welded to the inside. $16mm socket or wrench. I did put a flat washer and a lock washer on each bolt just because they give you enough of all that stuff. Oh, and they don't call them fenders, they call them wheel covers. While Ian's getting that mounted, there's the ratchet. The next step says, unscrewed all bolts and install front driving roller. Unscrewed all bolts and install front driving roller. Whatever that means. I guess we got to find the front driving roller. So that is the roller with the hydraulic motor on it.
This?
Yeah, but I'm confused. All right, so now what we've done is we've taken the 3 sections where the belt goes and laid them here. I found the bolts that they were talking about. They're on the bottom of that section to take those out. Although they said that they were on the roller, which they are not. So that was a little confusing because these were flipped over and you couldn't see those bolts the way it was laying on the ground. One worthy thing to note is to make sure the section with those 6 bolts is at the bottom. And the section here with the 2 separate 4-bolt pads is in the middle because there's some latches that hook into here or bolt into there to hold the thing up as a safety. So keep that in mind. The drawings or the pictures that are in the instructions aren't big enough to show you that. So, all right, so we took all the bolts out of there. The head on them is 18 millimeter. No, one thing's for sure, this thing's going to be fairly heavy once it's all bolted together here. Probably should have got the tractor out of the garage. I'll need to find some sound effects that sound like he's a NASCAR pit crew changing wheels. Okay, so now we're bolting the sections, as the directions call it, the conveyor bed sections. So and once again, the hardware does not tell you what bolts to use. So we're using the bolt with a flat washer, another flat washer, lock washer, and a nut. Because there's another bag of hardware with enough stuff. Same length bolts, but with washers and a nylock nut. But they don't tell you which ones to use where. These are a 16 millimeter head, I believe, on the nut and on the bolt. You gotta be real tight. I might have to check them. That's good. Do the next one.
it's stuck.
That's a wrench. Yeah, there's a socket on this side. So while he's tightening up those, I'm getting these ready. I had to take the bolts out. I don't know why they give you 2 other 4 bolt pads there, because they don't show anything in the directions anywhere. They don't show you anything in the directions anywhere that goes there. So I don't know why, but the bolts don't want to go in. It might just be because of the paint and the threads or something. These are a 13mm socket. All right, so you see where we got the safety latches on. We put the little springs on there. So those work like that. Next step now being mounting the winch to this flat plate. It'll only go on one way because it's got 3 holes. So we're going to get those tightened up and get it mounted on the conveyor base here. Okay, so this goes on here. I'm not sure which way it goes. It appears that I have it facing the right direction. So we'll get some bolts here. We need 6. Now that goes there. Again, most of the bolts are the same size. These are 16mm socket. 3 on one side, 2 on the other. And then I guess there's some kind of a bracket that goes there. We're going to find out. And apparently I'm supposed to wait to put those 2 bottom ones in. Need help? Did pretty good. Pretty tight. You're pretty strong. Okay, so these 2 bolts here I'm taking back out. Because there's this other bracket here that goes on for the hand crank for the winch. So 2 of the bolts are a little bit shorter. I don't know if you can see that. I went with the little longer ones for the bottom because it's got to go through 2 sets of plates. Again, the directions do not tell you what bolts go where. They don't have them. Kind of would have been nice, even if they didn't have it in the directions, if they would have bagged them with their, or wrapped them with their individual parts. Okay, now is the time to lift this whole big thing up.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, flip. Ian, we're going to need your help. All hands on deck. I don't know if we can just get it. All right, Ian, let's move these blocks. All right, so what we're going to try to achieve here is pick up the bed section of the conveyor with the tractor. I'm going to try to do it so that this end here will be a little heavy, which should tilt it like that, and then roll the frame underneath to get it mounted. Change of plans. You need this strap on that side of those hooks. Because what's going to happen is it's going to tip and it's going to slide. So if the hooks are on that side, it'll keep it from doing that. I can lower down and then have you tip it. All right, hang on, I gotta get the bolts. They're on the paper, Ian, all the... There's two on each side.
Daddy, walk with
Just hold on a minute here. Gotta get a nut on here to keep it from... Just keep your fingers out of there.
you. Not
You do your washers and stuff first. Just get it started, just so it's not going to fall off. Alright, so you can kind of see what we did there. We just got the bolts just started down here. They're not tight. There's a couple other steps that need to be taken at the moment. We need to find where this threaded rod goes. Calling it a locking screw. And it looks like it goes on this end. So that's that. So what's the next thing? Install moving nylon roller support frame, which apparently is these long pipes. Next question is, does it go inside or outside? Inside. Do not do this at home, folks. Ian, can you undo that big bolt, please? I got it right now. You just help hold on to that thing. In the hole from the inside out. Yes. What's the problem here? Put the nut on in the washer. Just get it started. Put these in the two holes by the shaft that Mommy's holding. And then there's cross legs. Okay, let's put these on. Find our bolts. Okay, so this goes underneath. I don't know how you're supposed to get that tight. Okay, the tractor's got to back up a little. Can you just help guide that? Is it squared in those rollers? Can I set it down? Undo the straps, please. Alright guys, we did a hole out there. I couldn't really talk. We used the tractor to pick the bed section up. You have to get these bearings right here mounted to the frame bracket. I still got to pop some of those bolts back out, or the nuts off, once I start snugging them up, because I couldn't get all the washers on. And then to hold the thing up, I would advise anybody in the future, put this A-frame piece all together before you get this up on there. Because if you get that all on there, you get it square, you get the X-brace in there all tight, get the strap hooked to it, then you could lower the bed section down on it. That, after doing it, makes more sense to me. So right now I'm going to come through and I just got to tighten up all this hardware because I wanted everything to kind of settle in before I had it all tight. So alright, so we need to tighten these big bolts on the bottom. But if you look close, this tube is going to interfere with this frame. I think that's part of the reason they give you a nylock nut, so that you can tighten that up, because you need the conveyor to go all the way down to set on here for the towable position. So we're just going to snug them up until they start to touch here. And with the nylock, that should be just fine. The other thing that's a little screwy, I'll walk over here and show you, is the hand crank. They don't ever tell you anywhere in the book to put it on. The winch has this nut, nylock nut, and this other bracket on here. But there's no way to get the winch handle tight because it just screws on the end of the threaded shaft right there. There's no way to get it tight until you start cranking it and get the weight of the elevator on it. If you had to take it off, I guess I'm not sure how you would how you would hold that shaft from turning, because there's no bolt head on the other side. While I'm doing that, Ian's going to start tightening the bolts that are holding the X bracing together, which, whoop. So the bolts that hold the X brace, it's a 16 millimeter on the bolt and a 17 millimeter on the nut, because it's a nylock. The big bolts down here, I don't know what size they are. I'm just going to use two adjustable wrenches. That's that side. Alright, so I just went till the nut was flush. It's starting to draw that tube in a little bit. I don't really want to bend it. Getting it? Okay, so you got the washers and everything on that one, right?
Yep.
Those aren't 16. It might be 18. And you get the 8. That's that one. Now, I'm going to pull this one in. I'll take this bottom off. All right, we're getting closer. We're going to see what's next here. All right, now we need to get that on there. Keep pulling. Ian, can you come do this part?
I got it. All right. Houston, we got a problem.
All right. I thought we were short, but we found this wire. That's what they use to fish through this. I need to figure out a way to do this here. I need an extra set of hands over here. The top has to come down, not the bottom up, because you'll never get to pull it. All right, so what do you do with that? Just bend them over?
The other one's
I guess I could just bend them over. Right? Not really sure what they want you to do there, but I just bent the wires over. Guys, I apologize for the noise in the background. Kids are running RC cars. So I bent that wire over right here. I don't know what they want you to do, but they give you enough on both ends to do that. I think that's probably the best thing, and it doesn't walk out. So now we got to figure out how to set the tension. The directions say adjust the belt so it's tight enough. Well, I don't know what's tight enough. I guess we're just going to go by feel, but all right, so they give you crank it up a little bit. That's probably tight enough. Just because you go too much more and it's going to be dragging. So obviously the belt right now is sagging and touching the gas tank, so you wouldn't run it that low. But you go too much tighter, and the belt right there would be rubbing on the bottom of the winch, so we don't want that. But we'll just keep an eye on that. Alright, then they give you these little lock screw bolts with a handle on them. And you just put them in the welded nut that's on the side there. Tightens that up. Easy enough to loosen it up. And now the next thing they want us to put together is the trough here on the end of the conveyor. So we're going to do that. Alright, so they shorted us some hardware. I mean, I've got a bunch of extra bolts that I don't know what they go to. So we'll have to figure out what we're going to do for bolts. But this goes on here like so. They give you some slotted holes for adjustment. Do the end one. You need a washer and a nut.
Which way does the nut go?
It'll only go one way. It'll only go one way. You'll figure it out. And then did you take an extra washer? Alright, so I don't know if I said it or not, but they shorted me the bolts to put this all together. I was able to scrounge up some stuff, and I think we can make it work. There's some carriage bolts. Does that go in there, Ian, or does it go like that? Huh?
I bet it goes out.
That looks a little better, don't it?
Yeah.
They're way longer than we need. We'll grind them off after. So the bolts that we're missing are either 8mm or 5/16. They're basically the same size. Oh, what do you got, Ian? Okay, so you got alright, so you got enough nuts and washers and everything?
I'm only on my second one.
Do you have enough?
No, I didn't got any nuts. Okay.
There you go.
How are yours got in?
Because I'm pulling them in with the nut. Get one tight.
Which way do you put it?
Getting it?
Daddy, is this the same side of
What? No. You getting them? Okay. I'm going to get my grease gun. Come on. It's almost impossible to get that cap on that grease fitting. Well, they're close. Metric 13mm1/2 inches. They're almost the same. Alright. So that's greased. Alright, so that's all mounted. I'll grab a grinder here at some point and cut them long bolts off. But moving on. Okay, now there is like an emergency stop button. You have to put this together into the little housing here. Okay, there's 2 wires. It doesn't really show which ones go where. Basically, they want your 2 wires hooked to the green side of the switch. There's orange side and green side. They want them hooked to the green. So we'll do that. So the other thing is there's a little rubber plug in the side of this bottom half of this box. And I just cut a little cross slit in it. So, alright guys, so they give you this shut-off box. The directions are so vague, it is extremely hard to figure out. So what they do is they give you 4 little Allen socket heads. So I put them down through the box. They line up with these holes. Now we got to figure out how we're going to get the nuts and the washers up underneath from the bottom. But they don't tell you anything about where this stuff's supposed to go. So I'm assuming that goes to a ground. This plugs in line with there is a green plug there. They don't tell you which one, but I'm assuming it's the green one. I guess we're going to find out. Just once I get it figured out, I will let you know. All right, that was an absolute pain in the neck. Get those little nuts in there. We got this hooked up. I did hook it into the green one that I showed you. The little rubber plug here. It doesn't stay in. I cannot get it to stay in the side of the box, so whatever. I don't see why you need the emergency stop when you've got a switch right here. That probably wouldn't even bother if I did this over. But the other thing is, for right now, it comes with taillights. They go on there. I'm not putting them on because there's a whole bunch of wiring involved that don't even give you a plug to plug it into your truck or whatever. So we're not going to do that right now. We're getting ready to put the hoses on, and I got to read you these directions because it's hilarious. Okay, so we already took the plastic plugs out of the motor. So they give you two fittings with a little sealing washer. The sealing washer goes to the side of the fitting that has like a beveled corner. Anyways, a 15/16 wrench is the right size to put those in. So I'm going to put the second one in here now. Alright, so I was trying to figure out, okay, well, which hose goes where, because they all got the same end on them except the real big one. This is what it says. Assembly hydraulic hose. Both sides L type joint hose should connect inside motor joint and hydraulic tank oil joint. Okay. I guess there is only one fitting on the tank that isn't used. But the way they describe the hose you're supposed to use, both sides L type joint hose. Well, I guess that's this one because it's got 90s. And then the next step, one side L type joint hose, connect outside motor joint, and hose other straight side joint, connect to hydraulic valve joint. I think it's supposed to say hydraulic valve, but man, it's almost like they're speaking Chinese here. I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but I'm just saying these directions are terrible. So I'm gonna hook this one up here. Now the nuts on the ends of the hose are 22 millimeter. I'm gonna move the camera in so you can see this over here. So what I'm gonna try to do is put that hose on so I can zip tie it to the frame. We'll get this tightened up. It helps if you don't drop the wrench. Alright. One side L-type joint hose connect outside motor, blah, blah, blah. We're going to hook this one here. Good and tight. And this one has to go to the hydraulic valve. Alright, let's check this hose, make sure that one's tight. Appears to be. And then the other hose, this is funny too. Shortage both sides straight joint hose, connect pump oil out joint near hydraulic tank to value bottom joint. What? I can't. All right. So you can't get this one screwed up because they've got two different size fittings on the pump. But I don't know how they expect you to hook this one up because holy moly. I think we're going to have to undo that off the pump to make this work. Let me see that one there, buddy. So is this, which way is this supposed to go? Alright, so they show the 90 going on to here. Well, that's interesting. What in the world? I think we're gonna flip this. I think. Yeah, this is ridiculous. There's no way. Yeah, I was gonna say, give me that wrench. I might need that. I don't know how you're supposed to make this work. That's ridiculous. So you don't really want to have that high of a loop in the hose for the inlet on the pump. So I think we're going to take this fitting off. I think we're going to take this fitting right here off and turn it, maybe come down. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that would work if we put this 90 on here. if I could come down and up to it like that.
I think so.
It's not quite long enough, but I think we could make that work. That makes more sense to me than trying to do this great big loop here. They don't give you enough room. You know what we could do? We can loosen the engine bolts up a little bit and slide it over, Ian. Alright, so we just loosened up the motor mount bolts, slid that over. I still don't think it really doesn't give us what we want. Alright, time to loosen that up. Alright, so we just downturned this fitting. We're gonna see. I don't know. What a bear and a half. This is a joke. Crescent wrench. Okay. I really don't like the way that hose is routed. That's about the only way you can get this stupid thing in there. So let's try to get the one on here to the valve, the value. All right, we might have to turn that one too, because I don't foresee any way. I don't really care for that, but it's on there. So well, okay. Take you off the tripod here and show you. So quite the curly Q in that hose. That one there is kind of bent around the frame. I did turn this, did down turn this because it was up here. It's just that's the suction on the pump. You don't want air in it. So I think that's about it. We're ready to put gas in this thing and hydraulic oil and try to fire it up. So I'm using some AW32. It doesn't say anywhere what to put in it. Flip the pail over. You might, if you get a leak, or it's going to take a little bit of oil to fill up all the hoses and everything. Alright. But we're probably going to be good with right where it's at. Alright. And no, I can't tell you how much oil that took, because I didn't have a full pail to start. I'm gonna guess it's about 5 or 6 gallons though. Add a little sea foam. We'll fill her up the rest of the way. All right, should we try it? Where should we put the camera? Just gonna set you guys there. Let's see how many pulls. Choke. I don't see a switch to turn the gas on. Oh, gas is on there. There's the throttle. Yep, the switch works, Ian.
Why does that go wrong?
That moves pretty fast. I guess you can slow it down. And that thing rattles like crazy. Let's see how fast it goes. It looks like it's tracking pretty good. Not bad, guys. I bet that thing would have started on the second pull if I'd have shut the choke off after the first pull, because she fired the first time. So after running that a little bit, I just wanted to see what the tracking looked like. And it was running pretty straight, pretty even on them pulleys. So one thing I am going to remedy here, that's pretty obnoxious. I'm going to wrap some electrical tape or something around it to hold it in place. All right, everybody. So there we go. It's all together and it's operational. I guess as far as some takeaway from this video, if I could give you any pointers for anybody else that was going to buy one of these conveyors. I did not know that it came with a Briggs & Stratton engine. I thought that was kind of nice that it wasn't a Chinese knockoff. Some of the way the stuff goes together could be designed a little bit better. If I could make some recommendation, I would put some of the hoses together on the tank, from the pump to the tank and the valve. I would do that before you have everything else on, just because you've got all this stuff over your head trying to work in there. You would at least need this put together so that you're not putting it somewhere you shouldn't. The other thing is the emergency stop button. It works. I don't know how weather tight that box is, how long that's going to last. Do you need it? I don't know. Yeah, it's quick and easy to just bump down on that rather than reach in here and find the shut off. But, you know, what else? They don't really give you any direction on the winch, where to run the strap. You can see it in here. The first time I did it, I accidentally had it underneath this bar. That wouldn't have worked because the belt couldn't go through there. What else? They shorted me the bolts on here. I ended up using 6 5/16 bolts that I had. The tail lights, I don't know if I'll put them on, maybe at a later date. The one thing I did do different when I initially put the wheels and all that together, I flipped the frame upside down, put the leaf springs and everything on with the axle, and then put the wheels on last. Or not last, but I put them on after all that other stuff before I flipped it over. My only concern looking at this thing is with this hitch sticking out the front so far. I hope the table on my Eastonmade is high enough to go over this. If not, I'll be doing something different with that jack. And I don't know, have to dig a hole, put the wheel in or something. Who knows? We'll get that stuff figured out. I guess if you got any questions, leave me a comment down below and let me know what you want to know about it. And I can do my best to try to answer that or help you out. And let me know what you think of it. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out as time goes on if this was a worthwhile investment or not. But like I said in the beginning of the video, from a hay elevator to a commercial grade firewood elevator or conveyor, there's nothing in between. And there's a pretty wide range of a dollar figure there in mind that is kind of missed, you know, and these units kind of fit that bill. But yeah, just would be nice if there was something a little more American made, or, you know, didn't cost a fortune, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But anyways, appreciate you watching. I'm sorry this was a really long video. But I wanted to showcase the assembly of the Iron Rhino 16-foot firewood conveyor, because there is nothing out there. Chipper Sales LLC has a couple videos on the conveyor, but nothing putting them together. So I'll leave a link down below in the description for Chipper Sales LLC. I'm not affiliated with them or Iron Rhino in any way. And like I said, they were okay to deal with, and they got free shipping to a business.